Jordan Mitchell from Good Morning Universe, and today we're talking about Venus. With the current state of the Earth right now, people are wondering how we're going to fix this. And naturally, because we are humans, instead of fixing our own methods and trying to save our own Earth, people are now thinking about colonizing a whole new planet. While we have been sending probes past our solar system to see if there are any habitable planets, some scientists are looking closer to home. One planet that has gained a lot of attention lately is Mars. But what if this wasn't the best option? What if we were to colonize Venus? Yes, you heard that right, Venus. The gaseous fireball of a planet where probes have been imploded within minutes of landing on the surface. Today I'm going to talk about how we can colonize Venus, why it is such a good option, and also some of the disadvantages. People are starting to argue that Venus would actually be the easiest planet for us to inhabit in our solar system. Here are some of the advantages. For one, Venus is the closest planet to Earth. This means the trip to Venus would be significantly shorter and cheaper than a trip to, let's say, Mars, and certainly shorter than a trip out of our solar system. When it comes to colonizing Venus, it would be a lot cheaper to send over the necessary resources to live on the planet and colonize it. At its closest, Venus gets about 25 million kilometers from Earth, which seems like a lot, but it's actually quite close, compared to the next closest planet, Mars, which is 225 million kilometers away on average. So the journey would be about 30 to 50% shorter on average. In addition to this, it has been proven that spending a lot of time in zero gravity can cause health issues, like thinning your bone density, messing with your coordination, changing your immune system, causing vision problems, and weakening your muscles. Now, I'm no expert, but in my opinion, it would be a good idea not to have the people who are saving the entire human race to be uncoordinated pieces of jello by the time they get to the planet they are colonizing. In addition to all this sciencey stuff, it's just more comfortable. Although being trapped in a metal box for months at a time with the same group of people sounds really fun, it could get a little irritating. Also, Venus is almost the same size as Earth, and the gravity force on Venus is only about 0.9 Earth Gs. This is important for the same reason I mentioned above, gravity. Our bodies don't adapt well to big changes, like gravity, and because Venus is a similar gravity to Earth, we'd be able to adapt much easier, and it would be a lot easier on our bodies. Also, because Venus is so close to the Sun, it has a lot of available solar power. In fact, it has about 400% more available solar energy than Mars. This could be important when we are colonizing, and when we need power to power all of our things, because it's not exactly easy to get energy from, let's say, burning coal, when we're in a city that doesn't even exist yet. In addition to this, Venus has a nice thick atmosphere. This brings forth more than one advantage. For one, it means that there's a lot of carbon dioxide. From this, you could extract oxygen to, breathe. This thick atmosphere would also give our future city protection from meteorites and space radiation. So I've talked a lot about why Venus is habitable, but how exactly? After all, Venus does have 90 atmospheres of pressure on the surface, and the longest a spacecraft has ever survived on the Venus surface is 110 minutes. Well, the answer is cloud cities. But no, it will not involve a galactic war and a Jedi losing his hand. No! It will, however, look a little something like this. These are images of a very early stage concept of a Venus colonization mission. NASA calls it High Altitude Venus Operational Concept, or HAVOC for short. See, when you travel a few kilometers above the Venus surface, it actually looks like a very viable colonization option. For one, the pressure at about 50 kilometers above the surface is practically the same as pressure on Earth's surface. And this far above the surface, the air is still very dense. In fact, it is so dense that a blimp-like structure could float when it's filled with helium, or just Earth air. To add on to this, the temperature at this height is about 70 degrees Celsius, which is hot, but not extremely hot. The highest temperature recorded on Earth was about 56 degrees Celsius, so designing things to withstand this heat is entirely possible. Now, you might be wondering now, why aren't we doing this? Why are we not sending people to Venus to set up this city? Well, among other things, cost is a huge drawback. See, the truth is, we could pretty much colonize anything, whether that be a planet in our solar system, asteroids, or a man-made colonization structure. But the cost alone is enough to make this practically impossible. Not to mention the amount of time it would take to redesign the equipment needed for this. And the cost is so incredibly high that it's difficult to estimate. But here's somewhat of an estimation and/or explanation. One panel of astronomers from NASA and other organizations have estimated that it would cost about $100 billion over 30 to 40 years to visit Mars. Not a colonization or to build a Martian city, just a visit. This number may be too low even. The International Space Station was supposed to take 10 years to set up and cost about $10 billion. This mission, however, took nearly 3 times that long and it cost about 10 times that much. So, if the estimations for the Mars visit are off by the same amount, we could be looking at $1 trillion investment over 120 years. Now keep in mind, this is just to set up visits to Mars. If you look at colonizing Venus, it's a lot more expensive and it could take a lot longer. After all, Mars has already been studied a lot more than Venus has. The Mars rover has been on Mars for upwards of 10 years, and no probe has lasted longer than 2 hours on Venus. Who knows how much longer and more expensive it would be to research Venus? Enough even just to get to the point of a visit, let alone a whole manned colonization. So, as you can see, Venus is one of the best options for colonization, at least in our solar system. But, that being said, it is still extremely unrealistic. A much more realistic option would just to be get better at taking care of our own Earth. It is a lot easier to do that than to set up a whole new planet. While it is nice to dream of a new city on a new planet, it would be a lot better to reflect on our own ways and make our own planet better. I'm Jordan Mitchell, and thank you for watching.